Welcome to the Quantum U and Leadership Forum webinar tonight. We're so glad you were able to join us. My name is Marina McDonald, and I am the lead facilitator of the Quantum U program. I'm also the program's administrator here at QLN headquarters for the SuperCamp department.
Hi there, I'm Amy Smith. I'm also a lead facilitator and co-developer of the Leadership Forum program. I also get a chance to be the director of training and program development here at here at Quantum Learning headquarters. You might be wondering why we coupled these two programs together tonight. These two programs are two of our most unique programs that we offer, and they share one of our most veteran staffs that we have in the SuperCamp arena. This staff is the most practiced in using SuperCamp methodologies in both the college and leadership arena back home in their own lives. They're both held at UCLA, and they happen once a summer. So we'll be spending time on these two programs together today.
Let's talk a little bit more about the purpose of this webinar and some of the outcomes. For Quantum U, the very first thing that we will focus on is how we set students up for college success. The second thing we do is how real life scenarios are a part of the program. For Leadership Forum, one thing we'll look at is how Leadership Forum is unique from SuperCamp, and also we'll learn more about the 4 diamonds of leadership. At the end of our webinar, we will have a little Q&A where you'll be able to submit questions, and we'll have a chance to choose a few of those to answer. For the first part, I will be focusing on some of the outcomes of the program for Quantum U, and Amy will also be talking a little bit more about Leadership Forum. So for many students that walk into Quantum U, this is their first introduction to quantum learning and the 8 keys of excellence. One thing that I should point out is that all of our curriculum is experiential and brain-based. Now, we would like to do a little bit of an experiment tonight on this webinar. So join me. You are driving to work, and you drive all the way there, all 40 minutes. You park into your favorite parking space, you get out, you lock the door, and you think back, and you have no idea about the journey that brought you to this parking space. How many people have ever been there? I know hands are raised. That is called a habituated behavior. That's because the prefrontal cortex is not engaged. The prefrontal cortex is not engaged, and it's off doing something else, thinking about something else, because that habituated behavior is taking you through the motions of driving to work. Now let's take that same experience and apply it to a student. Your child is in their room and they're reading their textbook, and they have to read a chapter for the evening. And they're sitting there reading, and you walk in and you say, "Hey, what are you reading?" And they look at you and they say, and honestly say, "I have no idea." Anybody ever been there before? Yep, we've been there, because this too is a habituated behavior. The prefrontal cortex is off on vacation doing other things. And the interesting thing about a habituated behavior is that your student could probably answer the comprehension questions at the end of the chapter, but still have no idea what the chapter as a whole is about. This is because students right now and in their current learning styles are equipped to survive in their learning environment. What QU does is we help students thrive in a learning environment. We know, and one of the tools and brain facts that ties together all quantum learning curriculum is that there is no comprehension without picturing. This is a brain fact, and it shows up in much of the strategies and skills that we teach at Quantum Learning. A few of these skills are note-taking, goal setting, relationships with their parents, with their teachers, with their friends around them. This also shows up in speed reading skills and also conflict resolution, among many other things that we cover at the Quantum University program. The nice thing about our curriculum is that we engage the entire brain. We then take that learning and we debrief it. So we take those experiences and we debrief. We take that learning, and then from what we learned, we then apply it in a real life scenario, such as a simulated lecture. At QU, we focus on what it looks, feels, and sounds like to be a successful learner. We know that informed students make informed decisions. Unfortunately, we also know that uninformed students make uninformed decisions. College life is a place where students shape decisions that can guide the rest of their lives. At QU, we create a safe and supportive environment where students can explore their career options, learn more about how to be fiscally responsible, and also learn more about opportunities on campus life.
That's just a small glimpse into a Quantum U experience. Hold those questions, we know you have some, and let's take a look at Leadership Forum. Leadership Forum's most unique quality is that it is a life skills only program. It's 7 days of an intense focus on what it means to be a leader with and among peers and in your own life as well. We take that L-track experience or that leadership track experience from a senior forum and take it to the next level. And the unique part about that is that with campers with such an experience and wealth of knowledge of SuperCamp, there's an expectation that they know and at some level apply the 8 keys of excellence in their lives already. And what we do with that is, just as the 8 keys are an overarching principle for SuperCamp, we dive into something called the 4 diamonds of leadership. And the 4 diamonds of leadership guide every single lesson, experience, and moment of Leadership Forum Camp. So let's take a look at those 4 diamonds. The 4 diamonds are vision, model, team, action. At Leadership Forum, we get a chance to learn about current and past visionary leaders. What are the qualities that they possess that we can learn from and grow from? How to create a vision in our own lives. What do we see for our future, academically, personally, in my career, with my family, with my friends? How can I future pace that vision to know where I'm going in life? Let's take a look at that second one, model. Model is a call to action. What do our students at Leadership Forum value? How do they live those values, model those values, and also inspire them in those around them? The next aspect of that is creating the right team. So many campers, when they reflect back on their time at any SuperCamp, share their favorite stories of being with their team. They felt so confident because of their team. They felt like they could do anything because of their team. They felt like they could step out of their comfort zone because of their team. And SuperCamp isn't the only place that we create teams in our lives. We teach your students how to create a team back home in their own life. We explore, who are you spending your time with? Are they the right people to help you model that vision that you want to have in your life? SuperCamp is 4 walls, and it doesn't have to be within those 4 walls that we create a safe and supportive team in our lives. So we spend that time shaping that idea as well. And then finally, it's all about action. Intentional action on a daily basis in every single aspect of your life. We spend time at Leadership Forum practicing the leadership skills and strategies and these 4 diamonds throughout the entire program. So for example, on day 4, we might have an experience where it calls to action the diamond of vision. And students are put in that experiential learning place of, how can I be a visionary here? Or do I need to be a model? And then we debrief that and say, okay, so have you been able to apply some of those leadership skills we've already talked about and learned here at Leadership Forum? In addition to that, we get a chance to interact with the community on a daily basis. So your students get a chance to organically orchestrate those leadership skills with businesses nearby, people on campus, people that work in different areas on campus, and really get a chance to try to put it into action on their own. So one more time, those 4 diamonds are, do it with me, Marina, vision, model, team, action. So those are the 4 diamonds that guide our program. In addition to that, leadership is a 21st century skill. The Partnership for 21st Century Learning has identified this as a life and career readiness skill. We spent some time diving into what does it mean to be a 21st century learner. And on the Partnership for 21st Century, they state some really amazing words that are going to guide the work that we do with your students. They say that today's life and work experiences require far more than thinking skills and content knowledge. And we all know that. Students that learn how to conjugate Spanish verbs, they also need to know how to think on their own. The ability to navigate the complex life and work environments in the globally competitive information age requires students to pay rigorous attention to developing adequate life and career skills such as leadership and accountability. With these experiences, your students start to make the connections between leadership and ownership. And they see how those two connections permeate all areas of their life, both personal and academic. So we said that Leadership Forum is a life skills only program, but life skills aren't built without them permeating into academic areas as well. So the Common Core State Standards, the new Common Core State Standards, rely heavily on a student being able to take ownership for their learning, thinking, and innovation. And we teach those skills through leadership at Leadership Forum. So that's just a little peek into the door of both Quantum U and leadership. We are both extremely passionate about these programs and would love to answer any questions that you have about your son or daughter attending these programs. So feel free to type in some questions down on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a question box there, and then we'll get them up on the screen for everybody to see and do our best to answer your questions.
First one, Arnold Carter from Chicago asked, does my daughter have to do the leadership track before attending Leadership Forum?
It's a great question, Arnold. Thank you so much for asking. And the answer to that question is yes. The purpose for that requirement is that Leadership Forum is an extension of that L-Track experience. So we take the experiences that they've had on L-Track, refer back to them, link them to experiences in their personal life, and then take them further into not only having those experiences, but leading those experiences and leading others as well. And without that L-Track experience, we wouldn't be able to call on that same knowledge. So thank you for the question, Arnold.
Next question. Terry Gilbert, my son is overwhelmed with keeping up with his classes, studies, and campus life. Will Quantum U focus on teaching him how to organize and maintain a reasonable balance? This is a great question to ask because it is one thing that when students are making the transition from their home life to now being on their own and making decisions about their education, about their job, about what they're going to do this weekend, they're also thinking about how do I create this balance that is going to happen. So Quantum U, like we talked about earlier, does create these real life scenarios at camp. Whether it's applying an academic skill or applying a life skill, it shows up. And actually, one of the 8 keys of excellence is balance. So it's something that we talk about through and is woven throughout our program. We also do talk about different ways to organize, manage time, value of a planner. We go into all of these different kinds of things that are helpful to us, especially when we're independent on our own. I hope that answered your question thoroughly. Next question. Megan Moore, my daughter graduated from high school last June. She took a year off from school. Do you think Quantum U would help her get ready to attend college this fall? Quick answer is yes, and this is how. There has been a gap between the end of high school and now entering into college. What's nice is something that we definitely focus on early in the program is this idea of making a shift. Literally shifting the way I think about approaching a class, a lecture, a study hall, different kinds of classes that we have. And so Quantum U will help her get in that academic readiness and prepare her for that kind of shift. I would also say it would probably get her really excited to go to college. One nice thing about Quantum U is that it's not only for incoming freshmen, but current college students are a part of the program as well. People who want to focus more on how to improve academically. They've gone through some moments where they didn't do so well in a class and they want some strategies to help. We also have staff members who are in college currently and can speak to their own experiences. So what I'd like to say is that she will not only be ready, but excited. Thank you. You want to read this one, Amy?
Sure, I'd love to. Vicki Elliott from Omaha. My son has gone to SuperCamp 3 times. Thank you, Vicki. We love your son. Will the Leadership Forum be a repeat of things he has already learned? That's such a great question, Vicki, and you're not the only person who has that question. As we stated earlier, some differences of Leadership Forum, besides it being just a life skill program, the level of accountability at Leadership Forum is higher. Due to the fact that our campers have all had some experience with SuperCamp. They're familiar with the experiential learning model. They're familiar with debriefing. They're familiar with being visual, auditory, kinesthetic, emotional. They're familiar with all of that methodology. We get a chance to get to the meat right away, and we hold them accountable from day one. They get a chance to start applying the leadership skills they've learned right after they learn that skill, whether it be at meal time. So we might say, okay, we're headed to meals. You just learned a new communication strategy. Try it on with somebody at lunch. Find somebody in the dining hall. How can you put this into action? So every single experience will be a new experience in terms of the activities that they're a part of, and the level of accountability will also be heightened for your student. Great question, Vicki. Thank you.
Okay, we have time for one more question, so this will be the last question. Sam W. asks, my child is an excellent student academically, but I'm worried about her making good choices and being responsible on her own in college. How will the Quantum U program help her?
It's a great question.
So this is the one thing, is that through students, through their whole entire education, they've created a kind of mantra and system that works for them in the classroom, and with test strategies, and with how to utilize their utilize their teachers and the resources around them. And those academic skills are heightened and built upon within the Quantum U program, with more of a honed in focus on what these look like in college. So the approach to having fragmented classes, how to apply time management in between classes, and kind of get a structure of what it looks like to be a student. So when someone comes in academically, they're not going to walk away without new skills or strategies to help them succeed in a college environment. I also would say that she would be able to look more at responsibility and being responsible for one's own self. So when we talk about the 8 keys of excellence and also the life skills that we look at how we're presenting ourselves from the very first moment at QU or in college. So there's many different areas that students can grow on across many different areas of their life.
They also get a chance to use those team leaders that we talked about.
Yeah.
Team leaders are in college right now, so they know what it's like to be in the student union and have a class coming up and want to stay with their friends. They know what academic resources are on campus. They know what Greek life is like. They know what it feels like to want to sleep in because they were out late the night before and they have an 8 a.m. class. And they can speak directly to those types of being responsible choices that you speak of there, that are oftentimes a challenge for students when they're out on their own for the first time. So your student will have a plethora of resources to not only pull from, but to have an experience with at QU.
Absolutely. Well, we want to thank you so much for your time and being here. And we also hope that you've walked away with valuable experience. And so we appreciate your time.
And if you have any further questions, feel free to send us an email. We'd love to get you the information that's still wandering around in your head. And if not, we'll see your son or daughter soon.